You've done films that are sci-fi, like Gattaca, and other films that touch on war themes. This is a war theme movie, but a very different kind of war.
Yeah, we've never had a war like this before. I mean, Ethan Hawke's character, Tommy Egan, there are going to be a lot more Tommy Egans because we're going to go to war at home. And we've never done that before. We don't know what the toll is going to take on those soldiers. But that's going to be the new normal. You know, when Bruce Greenwood's character says, you know, we're ordering more drones than jets, that's the case.
We look at films, war films in that genre, on a spectrum of pro-war or anti-war. You've got the Green Berets. On the other end, you may have Platoon. Does this film fit in there at all?
Maybe not, because I don't think it's one of those easy answers. You know, you can't, for instance, say that you're anti-drone. It would be like saying you're anti the internet, you know, because they're not going anywhere. It is the new sort of schizophrenia of war that we're going to have.
There was a lot of news coverage, and I'm sure that you read it, about the new drone program and the sense of triumphalism or the high-fiving that we got this guy or that guy. But then there started to be the stories about the Ethan Hawke kind of characters at home. And I bet it's that dissonance, perhaps, that attracted you?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, Ethan's character, you know, normally when he was in an F-16, before, you know, the events of the film, he would drop his ordnance and fly away. But now we're asking him to drop his ordnance and just sit there and watch and do what they call damage assessment, which is, more accurately, is counting the dead. And we've never asked anybody to watch that in high def and just sit there and see the destruction they caused.
There's so much visual drama in the way that drone warfare is waged. Did you have to change anything, enhance anything for the sake of the story, or was it all there for you?
My design philosophy with this movie was no design. I just wanted it to be completely accurate, and that's why I used ex-drone pilots to make it as authentic as possible.
How forthcoming were they when you talked to them?
You know, on the nuts and bolts of teaching someone how to fly from 7,000 miles away, they were, you know, very forthright. But when it came to questions about the CIA, I would, you know, even when I got them drunk, I would say, so you've flown missions for the CIA, right? And they would say, we can't talk about that.
They had another acronym they used, OGAs.
Yes, other government agencies.
3 letters, sounds like.
Exactly.
Take
yeah,
two
but
guesses.
they would not utter CIA.
There was a lot of resistance in acknowledging for a while that these guys were pilots. They could suffer PTSD. And questions, should they get Purple Hearts for sitting there at a console?
Yeah, no, they were going to award a medal for drone operators. And there was such an outcry from the rest, you know, for other branches of the military, who said, you know, no, we give medals for acts of valor and courage. You know, if you're just sitting like we are, you know, in absolutely no danger, we're not going to give a medal for that. But the flip side of that was, so they didn't award it, but the flip side was, well, hold on, you just said to these guys that even though you're making life and death decisions, we're not going to recognize that. That's just not worth recognizing. So, you know, it's how do you go to work that day?
Was it difficult to get financing for a film that could have been interpreted as so critical of the American war effort?
It's strange you say that because I've been accused of being anti-American. In Europe, I was accused of being too pro-American.
Then you must have gotten it right.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I was. You know, because it's an uncomfortable truth that I'm telling, I never expected a mainstream studio to get involved.
You've worked with Ethan Hawke for a number of years on a number of projects. Was this a different experience, or did you click? Did you get right back in each other's heads, as I'm sure you were in earlier films?
Yeah. Whenever Ethan needs a haircut, he comes to me. Because he's naturally a very grungy-looking guy, but, you know, I've made him an astronaut in Gattaca. I've made him Interpol agent, you know, and now he's a fighter pilot. But the thing was, I couldn't have made this film without Ethan, because now we have such a shorthand. It's got beyond that. It's almost a sort of telepathy. You know, he'll do a take, and I'll want to make an adjustment, and I'll take one step towards him, and he'll go, no, 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 I know what you want me to do, and he'll do it. So it's getting kind of spooky working with him.
There is necessarily a claustrophobia to a lot of the scenes in this. Did you try to make sure that that was conveyed to the viewer as well as to the person who would be sitting in that little cubicle in the desert?
Yeah, I think it was unavoidable, really. But, you know, what I did was to sort of open it out a little bit. I just always went inside the monitor, so you never saw the frame of it. And so, like Ethan Hawke's character and Zoe Kravitz's character, you were sort of sucked into Afghanistan or Yemen or Waziristan. So that was an important thing for me.
You did a lot of filming in Morocco. Was there any sense of awkwardness because you were making a movie about people living in the desert getting bombed from above in the desert?
Well, they did ask me when they heard the title. They said, "Good Kill, is there such a thing?" You know, and of course, "Good Kill." Just for anyone who doesn't know, of course, it is what you say when there is a successful strike. It's nothing I made up. In fact, none of the language I made up. But it was a challenging thing, actually shooting the drone footage, which I modeled on WikiLeaks footage, because that's the only way you get to see a drone strike. But it was kind of tricky, even doing a location scout, because I realized that I couldn't be on the ground, since the drone pilots were never on the ground. You know, they were 7,000 miles away. I always had to be above, and you know, the Moroccans would drive me into a town, and they'd say, "So what do you think?" And I'd say, "I don't know yet," you know, because I have to get up in the air to look at it, you know. So I had to have a cherry picker to even location scout.
As I was watching, I was looking at the scenes stateside where you had almost the same kind of tracking shots of an American car and an American military guy, and it made me uneasy because you know the drones are up there and Google Earth is up there, that somebody's always watching.
Yeah, no, that was intentional. That, you know, I know that Ethan's character has this God's eye point of view, but I wanted to carry that through in Vegas as well. That on top of that, there was some other God.